Welcome to Quantum Revenue Expansion, where we keep you motivated, inspired, and thinking big. Up-leveling into quantum revenue is a choice that we can all make in any moment, and then continue to make that choice to stay in that space each day. On this podcast, Ursula will share revenue growth strategies to reach your next level and introduce you to CEOs just like you who are making it happen. What's your next quantum leap going to be? See it, own it, and take that first step. If this is you, then Ursula wants to invite you to join us at the next 2X Intensive now. Go to salescoachnow.com/apply. You are listening to Quantum Revenue Expansion with your host, Ursula Menchez. Let's go.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Quantum Revenue Expansion, the podcast. Super excited to have you back with us today because we have a very, very, very special guest, Lilin Gabriel, and we're going to talk about perfectionism, pivots and perseverance, running a bricks and mortar retail store during a global pandemic. Lilin, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to have so much fun having this conversation about what you've done to grow the store, to hire, and to survive and thrive during a pandemic, which was not easy. No. And, we're in California, you're still kind of coming out of that. I mean, other states, we're a little bit ahead of you, but it's just a crazy time. So we're delighted to have you, and I'll introduce you in a moment. For our listeners all over the world, we love you. We're grateful for you. For our listeners in the Ukraine, we send our love and thoughts. And it's just an interesting, time in the world. And so know that you've all been in our thoughts and in our prayers. And for anyone who's been affected by what's happening in the world, we're all together in this, on this one spaceship of planet Earth. And it's just a time when, as CEOs, we get to really make a difference or send money to those organizations we care about. And it's one of the reasons I do what I do. And I do this with Rebecca and with our clients like Lilin, because we want to make sure that we can make more than enough money to have the overflow so we can give back to the organizations we care about when we want to do that. And so if you've been feeling like all the things that are going on, I just want to remind you to stay grounded, stay centered, and be the best version of you. Keep your company healthy, keep your company growing, because that is how you can impact the world even more. Also, if you haven't yet, go to ursulainc.co for the Quantum Revenue Expansion Masterclass. It's a 3-part course where we do everything from talk about your brand new quantum revenue container. We talk about how to up-level your prices, your packages, and your marketing, which a lot of our clients can get stuck with when they increase their monthly revenue. It's like, well, how do I raise my prices? How do I change my packages? And finally, in the 3rd part, we talk about how to collapse time and reach your quantum revenue goal even faster. And for some of you, we've been talking about the 2X Intensive. So if you want to take the leap, let us know. There's lots of information in the show notes about that. And as always, if you like listening and you want to tell others about it, please leave us a review. We really appreciate that. And I love reading the reviews. It reminds us why this work is so important and why we should keep going. All right. With that, let me introduce you to the amazing Lilin Gabriel. She owns a specialty grocery store with her husband in Southern California. She has a graduate degree in psychology and a background in administration, recruitment, and marketing. She's passionate about making Asian food more accessible. She and her husband survived, then thrived through the pandemic. So we're talking about, again, perfectionism, pivots, and perseverance, running a bricks and mortar retail store during a global pandemic. So let's just jump in. Talk to us, tell us a little bit about the start of your store, how that happened, and then what it was like to really move through the last 2 years.
Okay. So when I first came to the US, as you can probably tell from my accent, I'm not American. I'm actually from the UK. When I first came to the US, I knew I didn't want to do a regular job, but I wasn't sure, what I wanted to do until I saw this ad in the local paper, and it was for a local business plan competition. So I did that, won the competition, and that's also how I met Ursula and Rebecca, because you gave a ticket to your sales camp course.
Back in the
So
day,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. So I did that 2 days. And so the business plan was based on running a 24-hour coffee shop. And we were looking for a location. It was actually it took us about 2 years, and we just thought this isn't happening, and I actually started, it was kind of one of those setbacks where I just thought, oh, this is going to be easy, I've written the business plan, we're just going to find a location and it's just going to happen, and it didn't. So I kind of I started feeling a little bit lost and a little bit down, and it's kind of one of those setbacks where that just happens in business. Sometimes you have a plan, it just doesn't go forward. But then one day my husband was looking on Craigslist. He saw this grocery store for sale, and it took a month, but we took over, and this is 4 years later. So we've been running for 4 years now.
So that's like, who knew you could find a business on Craigslist just like that?
No, apparently it's really common, because I think a lot of mom and pops do that. So and even some brokers are advertising on Craigslist. So
yeah, that's amazing. So you and your husband, you purchased the store.
Yeah.
What were like some of the kind of maybe shock and awe moments or things you didn't expect? Like, I think, we think it's all roses and, we make it sound so great. I mean, especially now, like, you're just in a different place. But when you guys first purchased the business, were there any surprises or things that you just didn't expect?
Well, to be honest, buying a business is like buying a new house. You have this vision, you have these dreams, and you have this new owner energy. And we were still in that quite a bit. I mean, I still remember my first day. It was great. It was like, oh, we own a store, we run a business. This is ours. And it's like buying your first house. It's like, you're just still in that energy. But I'd say probably the most shocking stuff was some of the customers, because there's no filter when you're dealing directly with the general public. And I remember the first time someone was upset with me, and it was about 4 or 6 months into the business, and I think something was out of stock, and she was just really upset, and I just and I almost didn't know how to handle it, because we didn't have an alternative to offer her, and it was just like, and just sort of all that negative emotion, and she was just really, really upset. And we have, unfortunately, during the pandemic, had to deal with that a lot. So it was kind of it was a little bit of a precursor. I mean, some people are going to love you, some people are going to be upset, and you have to sort of be able to handle both, basically. But I think both my husband and I are kind of mid-career people, so we already had a lot of transferable skills that we could sort of we'd been through some failures, we'd been through some setbacks, so I think, and also being in that new owner energy, so we kind of it wasn't as up and down as it can be. So I think we were kind of okay. There weren't too many surprises, thankfully.
Yeah.
Because we saw them in a more positive light. It was more like, oh, this is an opportunity, we can do something with it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think it's I think what's interesting about what you said is, I think as business owners, especially women business owners, there's not many of us that love criticism, right?
Yeah.
What's different about your business is that it's bricks and mortar. So people are literally in your face.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine how hard that would be for those of us who don't like to get a bad review online, or don't like to get a client email where they're upset. I can imagine a totally different world when someone's right here upset because you don't have the right, condiment that they're looking for.
Yeah.
So, you've been in the business now 4 years. What advice, and this would be good for our listeners, what advice would you give to yourself 4 years ago about perfectionism and criticism and all the things that showed up?
That you don't have to be perfect, that some people will love you regardless, and you need to find your customer. because right now a lot of these guys that you took over were from the previous owners, and they are not your customer. You need to find your people, you need to find your support. And down the line, there will be people giving you those 5-star reviews. You'll make small mistakes and they'll be okay because of it. They'll be fine, they'll forgive you. And it's actually not so bad.
Yeah. That's such a good reminder that if we just focus on the one customer who's in our face yelling at us, we forget about the 10 other happy customers standing in your store in that moment, glaring at the person who's yelling at you because they love you so much.
I know. And the thing is, you can't be perfect. I mean, I know, I mean, I've heard stories that there are people out there who have these thousands of 5-star reviews, and I don't know what they do to get those, because realistically, life's not perfect. We're not perfect. Our business isn't perfect. We can strive for it.
Yeah.
But realistically, you're probably not going to get all 5-star reviews. You might get 1 or 2 1-stars, but hopefully they're just a handful. There's going to be some people that you just can't help.
Right. That's a great reminder. Yeah. Because, and here's the thing, if I am going to go look at your reviews about your store, I would find it, to me, it's unbelievable when everybody has 5-star reviews. I immediately think they paid for them. It's more believable because I can read the 1-star reviews and be like, oh, it's such a joke. Like, get over that. Really, that's what you're complaining about? And that makes me like your store even more, especially if you've responded nicely below it.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, I think it's a great reminder that 5-star reviews aren't all they're cracked up to be. I mean, you want them, but accept that you're going to get a mix, and accept that your ideal client is going to be able to discern based on the reviews whether or not they should come to your store, and they're going to see the right thing. So
yeah.
All right. Well, we covered perfections. We have a lot of things to talk about today. So the word of 2020 that we all said way too many times was pivot, right? Because we didn't have a choice. Like I was said, in 2021, I was like, I'm not going to say pivot again. Now in 2022, I'm like, I can say it again and like not get upset about it. So for you especially, right? So the pandemic starts, the masks start to come out, the news alerts are coming out. You're in California. It seems like it was, for a while, it was like different every month. There was just different information. You take your mask on, you put it back, you take it off, you take it off, and people are upset either way. It's just all that noise. And then you're wondering what to do with your store. So tell us about what kind of pivots did you make so that you could persevere through the pandemic?
Okay. Well, there was a lot of misinformation out there, and even people who were in charge and people who were supposed to know, they weren't, it seemed like they weren't sure what kind of information to give out.
Right.
It's, for example, they were uncertain about the surgical masks, so they were telling everyone to wear cloth masks. And now there's new research suggesting that cloth masks are ineffective. So there was a lot of goalpost moving and backtracking. And so there was so much uncertainty. And I think in some people, it created a lot of fear.
Sure, of course.
And I certainly was scared, the people around me were scared, and sort of managing that, it was tough, but I do want to say, as one highlight, even amongst all that, the first day of the lockdown was actually our best day ever, which was, and it was like we made our monthly income in one day. And we were just like, what is going on? And it was still just my husband and I at the time. And we just thought, oh my God, people we came to the store. There was a line in front of the store. We'd never had that. And as soon as we opened the doors, people just rushed in. They were grabbing things. And it was just, it was literally like, locusts had hit. That's how empty we were by the end of the day, but that was, I think in a way we kind of needed that shock, because it was like, this is real. we have to do something about this. Despite the uncertainty, do we go on? Do we keep the store open? And I spent a lot of time online looking at what our competitors were doing, looking at what other grocery stores were doing, and no one knew what they were doing. Some of our competitors closed their doors for 2 weeks temporarily. I mean, that meant no income for 2 weeks. They said they were going online, and eventually they did, set up an e-commerce website. Other people reduced their hours. It was just, there was so much uncertainty. But I realized, I think there was a moment when I just realized, that really there were just two important things. And as long as I stuck to those two things, everything was going to be okay. And that was basically, the safety of me, my husband, our customers, our community. And then the second thing was continuity of the store. So I was just going to do whatever I needed to do to keep this store going. If that meant we had to go 100% online, then I was prepared to do that. If we had to have restrictions about masks, if we had to lock the door and let people in one at a time, just to do whatever, to keep going but stay safe. So every decision I made for quite a few months until we knew we had more information was just about those two things, safety and continuity. So in terms of pivots, we did because people were buying so much and we were having to restock more frequently. It also meant that we had so much data in terms of what was selling, what was not selling, who was buying what. So it meant that I could make better decisions in terms of what new products to bring in. I could look at pricing. Things are moving so fast that it was like getting a year's worth of data in a month.
Amazing.
So there was just all that to analyze, and it just helped me make better decisions. So it also meant that we could accelerate our plans because we had better cash flow. Money was starting to build up in the bank account. And I could start basically serving the customers that we wanted to serve, and more people were finding us. So more people that were our customer were finding us. So everything just accelerated because of the pandemic for us. And I think a lot of grocery stores experienced that because restaurants were closed, bars were closed. A lot of people were working from home, and schools were closed, so they had to feed their children, had to feed their family. A lot of people were turning to home cooking, and they wanted to mix it up a bit. So a lot of people, we found new customers who'd never cooked Asian food before, and so I realized that we were in a unique position to educate people, to introduce people to new flavors, to new products. And that part really excited me, despite all this stuff going on. It was an exciting thing to go down that avenue and build a stronger following and have more customers. So quite a few pivots in there, actually.
A lot. Well, it's interesting, like as a grocery store, because you didn't have to stay open, but you were courageous. You and your husband were like, we're just going to serve our customers.
Tough. Yeah.
And it sounds like that like you've just always had that focus, like how do we serve our customers at the highest level? And because of that, you benefited. And it's so great. It's so great when, smaller businesses, it's so great to hear that, because I know a lot of big stores, and, good for them as well, benefited from the pandemic, but there were a lot of small businesses that didn't. So it's great to hear how much, it supported you. So during that time, so as you were having that revenue growth, it sounds like you were reinvesting in the business. Let's talk about money. So, I mean, the pandemic was an interesting time for that to be the time when like things were, unexpected blessings, right? But when you look back at your growth, with your business and just how you've had to grow personally around money, how we all do, right, as CEOs, what are some of the biggest, or what was the biggest myth about money and revenue that you've had to overcome?
I think the biggest myth was probably that all it takes is hard work. I'm a Gen Xer, and I had silent generation parents. So, they always told me, oh, as long as you work hard, then you'll get everything. You just put your head down, work hard. And there are so many more factors that lead into success and in sales and revenue than just working hard. And there's even an element of luck. You see the opportunity. So I'm not just saying you don't work hard at all, just rely solely on blind luck, because it's not. I mean, a lot of stuff has to actually come together. You have to be prepared, you have to be at the right place at the right time, and you have to recognize that opportunity. And I think sometimes people think it's easy, because they think, well, I'll just work hard, even though hard work isn't easy, but they just say, oh, they just that one thing.
Right.
But it's not. You can't just put your head down, because there's also stuff outside of your control that's in the control of other people. So that because of that human element, there's always going to be a small element of risk or luck, or something like that, the little bit of unknown that you just you might be 99% there, but it still might not be enough. I mean, look at the Olympics. They train for years, and then just that 1 second of maybe doubt or something, and it just that it's just gone. So so I would say that's probably the biggest myth is, all it takes is hard work. That's it. To be successful. And that's not true at all. You need it, but it's not the only thing.
It's not. And sometimes when we're, like you were saying, when we're in that kind of cycle of hard work, thinking that's going to be the thing, you just get burnt out. And for our listeners, I just invite you to really think about that. Where are you working really hard that you're not getting results? Maybe there's some other pieces that you could put in place. It's even, like think about going to the gym, or weight loss is one. Like weight loss is not about going into the gym and working really hard, because that can drive your cortisol levels up, right? And you might not lose, and so it's figuring out, what am I supposed to eat? What are the best times? It's like really studying that. And it's the same in business. It's really studying, as we talk about, what are the things that are going to move our business forward this week? And when you focus on, in the CEO table, we focus on 3 a week. Like, what are the 3 things that are going to move your business forward this week? I do the same thing in my business. I have my many lists. What are the 3 things that I need to do to move the business forward this week? And it works. It works. And those aren't the hard, it's not work hard. It doesn't mean I love doing those things. Sometimes it feels like a little hard work, like writing copy isn't always my favorite thing, but I do it and it moves the business forward. So beautiful. So let's keep going. So go ahead.
Yeah. Now, I mean, to me, I think when you just work hard and you just put your head down, you're always just looking down, but there's also stuff up there in the horizon. And I think as a CEO, it's really important to be able to scan your environment, because that's when you see the opportunities, the things that you can leverage.
Yeah, so true. Stop looking down, start looking up. Oh, that might be quotable. That might be on a tweet. Okay, thinking about revenue still, what are your top 2 tips for busting through an income ceiling? Like if somebody's been, stuck at 20,000 a month, it just seems like forever. And they're like, what? I'm stuck. What are your tips for them?
Okay. I would say 2 main things. Look at who you're targeting. Who is your customer? Are you really talking to the right people? You have to really know your customer, because if you don't know your customer, you're wasting your time on marketing, talking to the wrong people. If you don't know your customer, you're not providing them with the right level of service, the right services. They could actually want more from you. And you're not doing that yet. The other thing is marketing / advertising / sales. You have to try all the things, because you don't know what works. What works in your industry doesn't necessarily work in someone else's industry. What works for your location, for your type of business, for you, for your company, doesn't necessarily work for, you know, everyone else. So you have to try the things to figure out what works. And there is an element of throwing spaghetti against the wall. Unfortunately, you have to kind of go through, no, you have to have done that. You have to go through that experience, because you have to figure out what works, and always take a test and learn approach. Because, you know, if you think that everything's guaranteed, you're in for a lot of disappointment, and you have to just keep trying things, because things change. You have to pivot, you have to keep looking for the opportunities, and you have to keep growing.
Yeah, so good. I'm laughing because I say that to myself all the time. Oh, that was more spaghetti against the wall. Like, I mean, you name it, coming, you know, with marketing, we probably tried it in some way. And like you said, sometimes, and you have to try it long enough to see if it works. And sometimes it works for a while, and then it stops working because things change and shift in the world and what people are paying attention to. So marketing is, you have to be committed to marketing, and or find genius people who want to do it for you and want to be on your team. And that's, you know, just anyway. Okay. All right. I want to make sure we save time to talk about hiring.
Okay.
A lot of our CEOs, myself included, right? Like, when you're going to scale a business, you need a team, you need support. We talk about that at 2X Intensive. We talk about the CEO table. And yet it can be one of the most challenging and scary things. It feels like we're getting married. Like, I liken it to, it feels like we're looking for a life partner and we're bringing them in, and it can be a stressful time. And yet we also know on the other side of it, there's freedom and peace and a lot of other things when you find the right team members. So would you be willing to share, Lilin, a little bit about your hiring experience and what you've learned? I mean, you have your organizational psych background, like you have, or occupational, as you call it. So you had that. It's not like you didn't know what to do. It was more about doing it and having the courage and
it was a mindset thing. You know, and I've taken, you know, your programs, and, you know, so I understood the issue about time, you know, and team, and, you know, systems and processes. But there was it was almost like an emotional block. You know, my husband and I had been running the store for 3 years. And so it was quite intimate. You know, we had a certain way of doing things. And so letting someone into that physical space, you know, letting someone in, that was really tough, you know. And I remember, you know, the call with you and Rebecca, and you guys literally had to twist my arm and just make me do it, because you knew what was good for me. But that's the great thing about having coaches, you know, that they see your blind spots, you know, and they know, you know, you guys knew that I had to do this to grow, you know, and I really appreciate that you guys did that for me. You know, that was a gift. But yeah, you guys literally had to twist my arm to do this, because I didn't want to do it. I really didn't want to do it.
I remember.
You know, I just thought, I can't do this, you know, and because I started thinking, you know, what's going to happen, you know, and I started spiraling and think, oh, what if they're like this? And then what if we have to fire them? And what if they don't turn out? And then I'm going to waste all my time. And, you know, and then it's going to take a while for them to even learn. And then am I patient enough? And I think a lot of businesses in our position, you know, owner operators, family businesses that start off where it's quite an intimate group of people, you know, and no real outsiders, if as it were, go through that, because it's a big step to let someone in, you know, and it's a big step to take time out of your day to train that person and be patient with them and give them time to actually learn the business and to learn their role. And I know a lot of solo entrepreneurs fail at that step. You know, they just can't get over it, you know, and they'll say things like, oh, you know, I tried hiring, it took too much time, I can't find the right person, you know, and I needed to make money because, you know, if I didn't, then, you know, I couldn't pay my bills, etc. You know, and they don't want to actually take time and be patient and train this person, you know. But once you get over that hurdle and this person starts making a difference, then you just realize I'm glad I did that. I'm just so glad I did that. I'm really glad that I did that.
Yeah.
I
So
did
give us an
fear it,
update.
but
Where
yeah.
where are you in the process now, and what do you know now?
Okay. Well, what I know now is that it was worth it. Where we got really lucky.
Did you?
Yeah.
Or do you just do you create the luck? That's the question. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's I guess you could argue it both ways. I made it happen. My husband helped me implement it. He's a great he's former military, so he has great experience in terms of managing and training, especially from the ground up. So someone who knows nothing. He's very good at that. So I was lucky that I had his support. And I think, we've got two great employees. They may not stick around, but for now, they're really helping us with the business. And it means that I have more time to focus on the CEO stuff, and so to me, that was really important. It was really important for me to do this. I mean, it could have gone the other way. I could have been on a coaching call with you and Rebecca saying, oh no, they've just done something, I need to fire them, this isn't working. And I did, there was a moment where I slightly struggled with that. I sort of hit my first bump and I thought, oh, do I need to fire this person? Do I need to, is something, is this wrong? But I held my nerve. And I would say that it's really worked out. It's really worked out for us, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I think anyone who's listening to this, I would say just try it. Just try it. Have some patience. Give them time. Make sure you set the benchmarks. Make sure they know what they're doing. You know what they're supposed to be doing. Have checkpoints, as Rebecca always mentions, inspection points where you are checking their work. It's not a fire and forget. You can't just give them 1 hour training and expect them, oh, they can just get on with it. You do
Right.
have to keep checking in with them. For example, we have monthly evaluations, and that might be a lot for our size, but we just thought it was important. It was important to make sure everyone was always aligned. And I think it's also an opportunity for employees to talk back with us as well, if they've got any feedback, because it's in a retail store, you don't always have the time. So you kind of need that platform.
Yeah, I think, and that's such an important point. So even when you're at that moment of like, is this the right person? Something kind of went wonky. You had those inspection points, you had the conversations, and you just kept going. And it's a great reminder that a lot of moments are teachable moments, and sometimes we just have to. But you've done that. You've set up the meetings. You have the regular conversations, and that's the piece about hiring is once we hire someone, we got to train them, and we got to support them and really see what they need. All right. So final question, and then you're going to tell us all about your store. Final question. What's your best piece of advice for a CEO who maybe has, bricks and mortar, maybe has an online business, but maybe they're having a tough week? What's your best piece of advice for them?
I would say don't just focus on the week, because sometimes you will have bad days, bad weeks. Look at your month, look at your quarter, look at your year. With a bricks and mortar store, sometimes we're at the mercy of the weather. Sometimes we're at the mercy of a local road closure. Stuff happens, and you kind of it's really important to be able to go with the flow of things that happen, because you will have setbacks, you'll have disappointments, you'll have failures, and really the most important thing is to get up and keep going, because if you don't get up, you really will have failed. And that's what pivoting's about. You have to keep going, you have to get up.
Get up. Just get up, right?
Just get up.
Show up.
Yeah.
And focus on the bigger picture. Don't focus on the minute. It's easy to get stuck in like, oh, this is what's happening this week, but then you lose track of all the great things that have already happened this year.
I mean, have a pity party, sometimes. Yeah.
Sometimes 10-minute pity parties.
you need to get out the emotion. But after you've done your little cry or beating yourself up or whatever it is, being the CEO means you have to show up, you have to hold the vision, you have to hold the belief and do whatever it takes to get yourself back on that horse. I mean, I've had setbacks, supply chain was wonky, it's still wonky. I over ordered, we had a month in the negative and I just thought, oh my God. And it's really easy to put a lot of negativity and emotion into your setbacks, but that is just the small things. The bigger picture is you're probably having a great month or a great year, so you can't just focus on those small little negatives. So you get up, keep going, keep showing up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. So many gems that you shared. This was a lot of fun.
So much fun.
This may be one that I think other people will listen to. And someday, Lilin, maybe have your own podcast. You'll be talking about your store and growth and all the things. You're such a natural, such a natural.
So thank you.
On that note, so if I'm in Southern California, or if I'm going to visit Southern California, how do we find you? And I know you also have a cool way for people to get connected and also get a special gift.
Okay. Well, if you look us up online, we are, our Facebook page is Asian Mini Mart Menifee. So that's MENIFEE. We also have an Instagram under the same username as well. And I think in the show notes, you'll have it listed, right? So we also have a mobile VIP program. So if you want to join that, you can text MART, which is MART, to 40691. If we update that, we'll put it in the show notes for Ursula as well and your listeners. And the first gift we'll give you if you join that program is you can come in and we'll give you a free flavored green tea. And if you stay on the program, we do have a monthly prize draw, which is a $25 gift certificate. And we are going to be offering some exclusive offers just for that channel. So you won't get it on any other of our social media or anywhere else. So it is worth joining that program.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And
no worries.
When I make it to SoCal next time, it's been 2 years, like everything, just has been shut down, all my events and everything. I'm coming to your store.
Okay.
So I can't wait to
I hope you're proud of me. I hope you're proud of me. If you walk in and you be
gosh, I'm sure I will be more than, I'll be so happy for you and your husband and just all the things, how hard and smart you guys have worked through a very challenging time. And Rebecca and I are in awe of you, more than different than even proud of you. We're just in awe of what you've been willing to do, even when you didn't want to do it, like hiring. I think that as CEOs is such a big deal. My favorite quote by Eleanor Roosevelt is, "You must do the thing you think you cannot do," right? And when you do it, on the other side of that is the peace and freedom. Yeah. And Lilin, we're just so lucky to know you and to be part of your world.
I feel really blessed being part of the group, and
and everyone in the group loves you. I love all your posts. Lilin is amazing about just sharing so much wisdom. And so anyway, if you're in SoCal, go meet her in person. She's internet famous now, right? She's gonna so you're gonna want to get connected.
This is my 15 minutes.
Yes, it's great. But I think conference speaking is in your future. I think there's so many things. So anyway, thank you for being here. We wish you and your husband so much success in 2022 and beyond.
All right. Thank you.
Right. And to our listeners all over the world, oh, we're so grateful for all of you. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We hope this show inspires you to keep going, motivates you to do something different, and just stay on it. As Lilin said, just keep getting up, keep going, and look at the big picture and work smart. Work on those needle movers every day. That's it for this week, everybody. Have a great week. See you soon.
Thank you for joining us today. And if you are ready to make your next quantum leap, let's do it. Ursula invites you to join us at the 2X Intensive. Go to salescoachnow.com/apply. Don't forget to leave us a review on your favorite podcast app.